Hello, friends.
Hi.
And hello, everybody checking in with us here on Facebook Live. So my name is Anissa Teish, and I am Managing Director of West Hartford Coworking. And I am here with my dear friend, Dr. Lisa Wisniewski. And we're launching something really special today, something that's been in the works for quite a long time, near and dear to our hearts. And it really has to do with better supporting our students, higher education students especially, during a very challenging time, right? We're all going through something. This has been a challenging year for all of us, but at West Hartford Coworking and certainly in Lisa's work as a professor, we're used to just supporting our communities. And we knew that we had to come up with something, develop a program that could better support students that are displaced, right? The state of our higher education right now is certainly in flux. We don't know when things will go back to a quote normal or what normal will look like. And that really is the question. So I wanted to grab Lisa to have a little bit of a conversation to give, she can give us an idea as to what she is seeing in her professional atmosphere in academia and how we're going to be working together on what we're calling the Student Success Program that will now be available at West Hartford Coworking. So welcome, Lisa.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Again, I'm so excited for this because this has been in the works for a couple months now. So it's really cool to be at the point of launch and, introducing it to the community in the new year. So happy 2021, everyone. For those of you who may not be familiar with me, my name is Dr. Lisa Wisniewski, or more commonly referred to as Dr. W. I am a college professor. Yeah, long Polish last name, totally get it. One of my first questions I always get from my students on the first day of class is, how do we pronounce your last name? So I get it. So I am a college professor. I have taught at various institutions around Central Connecticut, a 2-year college, 4-year colleges, private, like all of it. So I've been in the faculty. I've been in higher education for a decade at this point, as much as I don't want to admit that. But I've been on the faculty side for about the last 7 or 8 years, if I do my math correctly. And I mostly teach classes in psychology and sociology, but I've developed courses on student success and study skills and all of that fun stuff. So that is a little bit about my background, and I won't bore you with any of the research stuff that I do. But my research is always focused on access in higher education for all students and creating sort of those programs around it. So I think this is going to be a really interesting and fun experience here because, a lot of the things that we're seeing right now is access, right?
Yes.
And what are we seeing right now? And when I say access, right, I mean laptops, Wi-Fi, right? Zoom, like I'm sure we're all living in a Zoom world. As I was sharing with you before we went on, this is like my 5th Zoom of the day. Right? It's not necessarily typical, but we all have, whether we're working or in college, we all have these multiple meetings, multiple Zooms that we're all on, right? And technology doesn't always treat us kindly. So
it doesn't have a pulse. It's not as warm and friendly.
I will say I totally acknowledge that I am spoiled because I live with an IT professional. So I'm a little bit lucky there, but how many of us are experiencing like these technical issues and we're like, wait, what do I do right now? Right. So now multiply that if logging into class, logging into a lecture, getting an assignment turned in on time, right? So one of the big things that we're seeing right now is access to technology or troubleshooting technology. So one of the things that we wanted to focus on in this program here at West Hartford Coworking was, how can we assist students in sort of that process and make their lives even somewhat easier with that, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, there's the technical aspect. We have very, very, very high speed, strong Wi-Fi here, very reliable, and we're super proud of that. It's been helpful for, professionals that call our space home every day, like yourself. But yeah, students, it's hard changing atmosphere, right? There are students that have been used to campus life, the independence of that, the opportunity in that, right? The social atmosphere. And all of those things have dissolved for the time being, right? A lot of campuses are closed down. If they are not closed down completely, they're certainly limited in where students can go and roam, etc. So it's a different environment. And even these sort of extracurricular spaces that students would often descend upon, like the coffee shops, right? Limited as well, right? You can't cram into Starbucks anymore. You can't cram into, even the libraries, the local libraries are largely closed or certainly limited. And so students have found themselves, if they are back home, in their childhood bedroom, back with their parents, navigating the school year with all of the devices of a household, right? Everybody has that challenge. We had to up our own, even though I own a co-working space, we had to up our own home-based IT Wi-Fi service to like a small business plan because of the amount of devices that we had going.
Right.
So imagine that they're heavy, streaming software programs and things like that in order to connect to the various classes and collaborative spaces that are being provided to students in this sort of virtual sense. But that all, can limit them. You're limited by the bandwidth and the technology available in your household or, available to you in the community. But then also the fact that you are now an adult, want to be an adult, used to, or looking forward to some independence, and you're back in your childhood bedroom. And that is hard. God bless. That's hard.
You might be back in there with your sibling, right?
Yeah.
Because I mean, I'm sure when I was leaving, my younger sister was like, oh, when can I upgrade to her room, right? So she was looking for my spot. So now you're back home, right? So you're as you had mentioned, you missed in campus life, even just the fact of like, even if you're a commuter student, like I was for most of it, you're still leaving home, right? You're still going to campus, you're still engaging with your professors, you're kind of interacting with people, and you have that dedicated study space on campus. Perhaps you're meeting with a study group, right? Study groups are also really, really popular, especially when we get ready for midterms and finals and group projects. Now everything is virtual, right? So you're missing your space. Now let's even unpack the fact that parents are working at home, right? So
yes.
to that point, right, I've heard of family members who are sharing a dining room table. Parents are working on one end, students are working on the other. So you are pulling the Wi-Fi, which we all know is hard enough. Technology is, again, great, but you're pulling, like you're saying, these softwares that require a lot of stuff from you.
Yeah.
Let's not even talk about the fact that you have to learn it all on your own now, right? So like,
yes.
When I was on campus and we were teaching, like I navigated my own Blackboard, I pulled it up, I did it as part of my classroom experience, right? Now I have to set up a link. You have to log on to that. You have to navigate all Blackboard. And if you're a new student, if you are transferring schools, these softwares may be very new to you. And it's easy to miss deadlines. It's easy to miss quizzes or assignments, just not being able to like navigate all of that, right?
Yes.
And I know I jumped from one thought to the next, but just even the fact that you're back in your bedroom, you're probably, working side by side with your parents. What happens if, you have a Zoom call, if your parent has a Zoom call and you're both like,
right? Shh. Yeah. In the same room, or like then if you're both on the same, like a Zoom call, that'll really eat into the bandwidth of the common household, right? So it's challenging all around. Everybody, whether you're a group of professionals, everybody's now working from the home, you got kids running around, students are going through the same thing. And I think they've been sort of largely forgotten in the sort of, mix of the chaos of like, how do I conduct my professional life, during a pandemic? How do we kind of function better as a family now all crammed into the house 24/7 as a family, right? And it can cause unnecessary challenges both in the education, that they're receiving, just certainly distracted and feeling disconnected, not having the social interaction that they hoped for, that we all hope for, but certainly in the environment of a college campus. So what we wanted to do was to take all that into consideration, And thankfully, I am far removed from my college experience, but Lisa is, tapped in as a professor every day. And we were able to kind of, join forces, combine our thoughts here to create a program that provides both an environment and support for higher education students right now. So that's undergrad, grad students, doctoral candidates, run the gamut. They all require a variety of support at different levels of that education. And Lisa, having, gotten her the doctoral degree.
Yeah.
Your doctorate. You've got your doctorate.
Yeah, I wrote that. Yeah, I wrote that dissertation. It's done. Yes, so I actually, even locally, I graduated from the University of Hartford. So I'm a UHart alum for my doctorate. And right, so like even let's talk about, graduate students, right? Because we're talking about undergrad students a lot too, but graduate students, right? Typically graduate students are perhaps working, they have families of their own, right? So even on the other side of like that mix, even if you are, removed from your undergraduate years, but you're also navigating these humongous projects like a thesis or a dissertation that really do require focus and concentration, right? And the worst part when you get to a dissertation is when you don't keep moving, right? Because you're doing this on your own, you're writing. I mean, my dissertation ended up being 222 pages. So like
you focus for something like that.
Right, you need to move it so like every day, like something, or like have a plan, right? So now if you're removed from campus, dissertation students are in a very unique issue. They have a very unique issue right now because part of it is conducting your own research.
Sure.
For a lot of students, that's interviews. My whole dissertation was based on interviews. They can't interview.
Have to be online now. So reaching out to people and
doing a Zoom, call. So, part of the program that, we have joined together and sort of developed for students is having that space to focus, right? Having that place to come. I know when I come in to work, that's an agreement between between my husband and I. He's like, okay, these are the days he's home. These are the days I'm home. Not that we don't have children, but we kind of just swap off responsibilities. And he knows that's the day I go to work there. And it's my day to get everything done. This is when I'm at home, of course I'm focused. However, it may be me washing the dishes or, putting that load of laundry, and there's something to break that focus, right? Or, my parents love to stop by unannounced. So that's like the other one. So usually I'm doing class and I'm just praying that the doorbell doesn't ring. So, what we're proposing with this program is sort of taking all that stress away and having that peace of mind to come in and focus.
Yes.
Even if it is, I know, like even before, like I became a full member, the day of the storm or one of the days of the storms, I came into work to your spot because it was like, I need Wi-Fi, I need to be left alone because otherwise I'm sitting on my parents' floor and doing it because my sister had taken over the dining room space and that was her space. So I'm like, okay, I'm leaving.
Yeah. It's hard. It's we're all still navigating the physical, like the changes to our physical life and our physical environment, and navigating workspaces, relationships with coworkers and such that are now translated to email and Zoom calls and all of that. And students obviously are experiencing the very same thing. So it very easily distracted at home, lots of interruptions, and feeling, Zoom doesn't do everything. We're going to be, even this, right? You and I being in the same room together, there's an energy to that. There is more of a connection there. And so, technology is fantastic. We love and embrace technology, but we want to be able to safely provide, like I said, the ability for people to gather still. And I say gather in limited numbers.
6 feet apart.
Yep. But have the space, yes, and then have the support, right? So I want to go over, some of the details of what this program really entails. So a lot of what we do here at West Hartford Coworking is membership based, right? It's a monthly fee, and you get a variety of benefits and access levels based on your membership. So what this is the students in the student success program are going to have access to our individual desks. They're called hot desks, but they're really individual desks that are spaced out. They are 6 feet apart. They're not facing each other. They are partitioned. They're kind of little cozy little spots where they can, sit down and get productive. They'll have access to those spaces Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 5:30, so perfect for class times, right? Even if you don't have classes at certain days, you come in, grab a spot and study, right? Write some of those pages of your, recent paper or dissertation. You have access to free on-site parking, which is always key, right? Nobody likes to pay for parking. That increases the price, obviously, and student budgets are tight. We all remember that. We always have coffee brewing. We've partnered with Any Sips Coffee out of Britain, and so we are always providing Any Sips Coffee to our members and guests. And of course, we have the very strong Wi-Fi. No extra charge for that. That is, of course, included. Also included is free unlimited copying and printing. If there is a presentation or, pieces of a document or a book, whatever that the students need to print out. I'm not really great at reading things on end, pages and pages of things on a screen. You print it out, read it, mark it up, all of that. We have access to all of that, right? And then it's a comfortably safe space. What I mean by that is we have a lot of, nobody's crammed in here like sardines, even before COVID, right? We had to make very little changes before COVID. We just spaced some desks out, like I said, move things so that nobody was facing each other, put some various, of course, protocols in place. I'll go over some of those right now as well. So when you're roaming around our space, we do ask that our members use a mask, right? Wear your mask when you're roaming around the common areas, going to the printer, going to the kitchenette, the bathroom, etc. And when you're entering the building, use your mask, right? But when you're sitting at your desk, even if it's not in a private office like I have here, you can take off your mask and get to work. That is your comfort level. We have people that still leave on their mask the whole time, right? But that is to, the office standards of the mandate, following those guidelines, of course. And everybody, like I said, is more than 6 feet spaced out and not facing each other. So it's been super safe. We're also not, like I said, we're not a place that is crammed in like sardines. We never were, but we're not like a metropolitan space. This is not like a WeWork in Manhattan. Okay. First of all, we're independently owned. We're a small business, family owned business here, but we have people that come in and out, right? So a busy day for us here is like, yeah, maybe the 4 desks up front, the hot desks will be, full, but that's honestly a rare day for us. So people come in and out. They don't always stay the whole day. So you're never going to come in and be like, oh God, there's like so many people here. That, first of all, is not comfortable for pre-COVID times, post-COVID times, but it's certainly much safer when it is, in the middle of a global pandemic. So we have lounge area. People can just like you would your local college coffee joint, right? Comfy couches, all of that. You can come in. Velvet couches, right? Plants all over. It's a really warm, inviting space. We have cool people. Like that's really like the name of the game for us. It's a community. And so whether you're introverted or extroverted, I always say you can use the space as you need to. Physical, couches and the kitchenette and all those things. But the community, leverage the community how you need to and how you feel comfortable. Some people are very introverted. They're rather shy. This is a place that they can find a home as well, right? You don't need to, everybody's friendly to each other, but you don't need to get up and get to know the life story of your neighbor next door. It's sometimes the feeling of just collective productivity. You're around other people, and even if you don't wind up talking to them, there's value in that, right? You don't feel alone. You're not cordoned off in your room at home, and you're around adults. For those of us that have kids running around at home, you're around adults when you're here.
So to add to that, right? When I'm there and I'm working, everyone just even has their head down working or on a call or something, right? Like you said, okay, I feel like I need to be productive. There's never a day that I'm there where I'm I just didn't do anything, right? The other thing too, I know I've come up to you and been like, hey, what do you think about this idea? And I, run it off and I'm like, okay, bye. I know you got a meeting, and I run away. Or I've asked Haley ideas, or Beth, right? Like I've just come up in sort of program design, right? So one of the things that as college students, right, you could network and also get to know people within the community, right? There's many very successful small businesses that are coming forward with this space. I like thinking of your space as like an incubator of small businesses in West Hartford and Hartford. I think it's awesome. So there's like an energy there that like I truly love and I find productive. And she's not paying me to say this. I'm just truly the other few things that I can't highlight more, whether this is a student listening or a parent listening, some of the really important things in this program are going to be that 8:30 to 5:30, because that could be class time. Students could come in, listen to their class, put their earbuds in and just like take their class, study, do whatever it is. It's focused on that. So that's going to be the quiet part. And then you won't have a Zoom call in the background of your house, right? And I can't stress enough the free copying and printing. As you were talking about it, like how many times do you have to print something, or it's just easier to have a physical copy or be ready, or if you want to work with me, print your paper and I'll write all over. I'll give you feedback. Like that printing part. Let's also talk, I'm not encouraging you to go and print a textbook because there's also copyright rules, right? However, you can, look at sections of it, right? Even thinking about the affordability of textbooks. A lot of textbooks are now available in e-version and could be more cost effective as that, right? Because I had a question today about affordability of textbooks, right? I mean, please do not go and print a science textbook, a 500-page science textbook. That is just no.
That is a no-no. That is against the law.
Against the law. However, there's opportunity to print sections, right? You could print a piece of it. You could review it. You could read it. Or even if it's just your learning preference. Like I don't enjoy reading on a computer or a laptop or a Surface. I don't enjoy note-taking on it, right? So you now have accessibility to printing without worrying, did my ink cartridge run out? Do I need paper? How many of us have been there where I'm like, I need to go to Target and buy paper, like at 9:00 at night,
The paper shipment's always coming here.
I saw the pile. It was huge yesterday, so she is all set. Not to just talk about paper and stuff, but what I'm trying to say through that is it can help navigate some of the issues that you may come up that we're just not thinking of yet, because we're not all in the semester just yet. I'm not even fully in it, but it's all of these things that you end up navigating throughout the semester, obviously at the wrong time, right? You always run out of paper or you run out of ink, like when you have that big project due or something. Like all I'm saying is we're taking away or some of those barriers, because that's always been my role as a professor, to minimize the barriers to increase the learning and the engagement. So those are things that you may not be considering right now, but you will remember that day when, I don't know, your internet shuts down and you're going to have a paper due.
Oh my God. I'm so excited thinking about that.
I learn it every semester. I have students who, send a paper wrong and it's that panic email, my internet went out. Something happened. Like, it happens, right? But we are, trying to be proactive versus reactive.
Very true. So we were talking a lot about paper and printing all that, but there's a reason to that. Yeah. So part of the benefits that are associated and included with this specific student success program is access to Dr. Wisniewski here. So Lisa has not only in her work as a professor, working with hundreds of students over the course of her, thousands maybe even, over the course of your career thus far, she takes she's one of those good teachers, right? I can say that. She's one of the great ones that really takes focuses on mentoring her students, right? You work even outside your classroom and you mentor a variety of different groups and communities and students individually. And I really, it's just so amazing. And so part of that work and understanding the need to better support students, even again, outside of COVID times, that bridging that gap between like, all right, I was in high school now, and now this college thing is different. How do I better navigate that, right? What is this all about? Time management. The classwork is very different, right? But then also that bridge between your academic life, whether you get your undergrad, grad, etc., to the professional world, right? These are things that we're not taught to do. We are taught to, but we are not taught to be taught, taught to learn, right? Like,
Yeah.
and as a student myself, I always struggle with that. It's like, you just have information coming at you fast and furious, but it is a rare teacher that is able to really work with you to help you better capture and engage with the learning. And so I wanted you to go into Lisa, your work in launching a wonderful program called the Millennial Academy. Really, what was the inspiration behind that, and what could we expect from a program like that?
Sure, and thank you for that lovely introduction. It does mean a lot because I put a lot into my teaching and helping students to be successful in their own way. So I truly appreciate your words. So the inspiration between the Millennial Academy partially was my dissertation, because my dissertation looks at access to higher education. And a lot of times, students don't know what they, need to know walking into college, right? We're not thinking about it, right? We're taught about the application process, but what are all the pieces of that puzzle really look like, right? Financial aid, taking classes, all of this, right? There's a gap. There's a gap in what people know and how to successfully navigate it. As you were mentioning, there's also a gap after we graduate. We're like, congrats, you graduated, now what? How many of us graduated? I graduated 3 times.
Go forth.
And my bachelor's, I had no clue what I was doing. How many of us are there? Hands up. There. The only graduation I knew what I was doing was when I got my master's, and I had already been accepted into the doctoral program. I knew I wanted to continue, right? But I really didn't know what I was doing. And then I'm glad a colleague of mine explained this to me. When you finish your dissertation, there is a little bit of a dissertation depression that hits you. And I'm so glad she told me months before, because, and I never thought about it, but you work for 2 years on this project and then it's gone. And you're like, wait, what?
Where does all that momentum go?
Right. And I was saying things to my husband, what did this matter? What did this mean? And he's like, so confused. But that's not the point. The point was just that even in my own experiences of going through higher education, there was so much that I wish I knew.
Yeah.
And it's bridging the gap. So really, I'll say the Millennial Academy was inspired by my dissertation, and I always saw it as being a little shop that people could walk in and do trainings and workshops about college and after college. That dream was put on hold for a little bit of getting married and all that fun stuff. And then COVID, right? So we've been just looking at how to do it virtually. And we are officially launched. I'm really excited about that. In it, you can find a couple different things. They're more workshops. I'm calling them courses, but they're more quick workshops. They're pre-recorded on specialized professional development topics and college topics, right? So right now our course is on goal setting. It's New Year's Eve, it's the big one. So in there, you'll get some teachings by me married with research and specialized worksheets and assignments to go with that to really reinforce the material with that. And there's also going to be some more fun stuff coming out in the next few weeks, navigating your college journey and the graduate journey.
Ooh.
So yes, please check it out. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. But really what we're looking at is bridging the gaps in sort of those professional and educational transitions that we all come through.
Yes. And so applying, what you've created, what you've experienced in your professional life to date, and what you've created in the Millennial Academy, this is really the joining of the forces here as far as this program is concerned, because apart from the space, you're getting the support. So students that are enrolled in our student success program are going to have access to Lisa on a monthly basis. So they'll be able to self-book, and this is included. They can work with Lisa, outside of this, of course, if there's a real connection, of course, that's made. And I know everybody's going to love you. But you're going to get 30 minutes to the self-book 30 minutes with Lisa. That can be used for a variety of things, right? What do typically your mentees come to you needing?
So it could be a variety of things. What I'll say up front, don't ask me about your math homework. I'm sorry, I will fail. Okay.
I'm sorry.
However, I say that up front. Okay. Don't ask me about the math homework. I can refer you to somebody. That's not answering the question. I just wanted to put in a little bit of humor right now. Typically, I am what my mentees are looking for. Sometimes it's asking about college and what they should be doing. So sometimes it's just talking, right? Like, what do I do about this class? Should I, should I withdraw? Should I go to a different major? So sometimes it is kind of navigating that college process, and sometimes that's what students need. Sometimes it's reviewing a paper, right? Can you take a look at this? Do I make sense? What does my professor want? I've reviewed syllabi or reviewed assignment expectations, and I've sort of guided them through that as well, right? And sometimes it is having a conversation about what are next steps. Right. So I am happy to assist in any part of that within those 30 minutes, just not your math or science homework. I'm sorry. I don't have that expertise. However, what I can definitely assist you with is your college journey, specifically yours, right? Any kind of assignments or help, or maybe like study skills that you may have, like, how do I prepare for this test? Like, I can't prepare for the test, right? But I can give you tips on how to do that, and we can walk through some of that. Also, if you are a graduate student, I'm happy to look at thesis or dissertations, because oftentimes what happens with a thesis or dissertation, you just stare at your screen. We're kind of not taught how to build this 200-page thing, and oftentimes people are like, I just got stuck, so I'm not going to deal with it, right? So I can also help with what I like to now call the project management of those.
Yes. And you know what, that I love that you said that, because those are, call them soft skills. They're becoming more essential skills. I don't even know if they'll be called soft skills anymore in the future. Mm-hmm. But the idea of project management, right? We have to self-teach that, unless we of course go into our professional life and actually go into a course and certification for that type of thing. But I remember your earliest papers or group projects at elementary school or middle school. That is a form of project management, right? We're not taught how to do that in our academic career.
No, not often. And, I like asking, so I've taught psychology, I've taught sociology, I've taught all classes, within the social sciences. And, I always like asking my students this question, and I'll ask it here. Do you think college is how smart you are or how determined you are? Like, really,
prepared.
Is anything you can be taught, right? And that's what I've learned myself, in my own educational journey, but also now being an educator, learning from other educators, right? Because let me give you a quick story too. I love sharing this story, and he may be watching. He may not. One of my mentors, who he just realized now he's like my mentor. But when I started working, I was like, I'm so excited to teach, but I'm like, what do I know, right? In my own head. So I had this one colleague who we're all, and I knew I enjoyed talking with him, but I didn't know much about him at this point, right? So we're sitting around talking, and we're having a conversation about age. And I told him what year I was born, and he looks at me so serious, and he's like, I hate you. Just like, I'm like, what do I do? Like, I had no clue what to expect. He's like, the year you were born, I started teaching. Oh. And instead of being worried about what he was thinking, I said, mentor, follow him. And I did. I didn't ask him to mentor me, anything. I just followed him around. Not in a creepy way, but almost in a creepy way. I need to know what he knows, right? Yeah. So my point of the story, and also just in general, is saying I still have to learn how to be a teacher. Just because I got a doctorate, didn't know I knew how to be a teacher. So I followed him around. I'm like, oh, so a lot of this is learning these skills, and how do we do it? And if you actually, to tie this into professional world, if you look at the World Economic Forum's, their skills of the jobs of 2025, critical thinking, management, right? Tech skills. They're all the things that we're learning to do now, but they're not, necessarily the skills of I'm struggling to find an example right now, but they are these kinds of skills of critical thinking, project management, collaboration. That is going to be a big thing, and that is what we learn through college, what people don't realize, but we're not open text. We're just thinking test, quiz, paper, test, quiz, paper, test, paper. What are the broader things that you're learning? And that's something that I can help with, the clarity of that. And how does that apply to your job application? All right. How can you translate that on a resume? How does that make sense to your bigger picture? Because I think also we get stuck, right? So like I have a lot of students who are like, I'm going to get a degree in nursing, so I have to get a master's in nursing. No, you don't. You could go do something else, right? But we're not taught, we don't have these conversations.
Yeah, there are like sort of like clear pathways that we think in our head, like, well, this is what you do. And it really is, I mean, kind of putting my marketing hat on, and I've done this as well, even in my, professional career. I have marketed for or done a variety of things. It's how you market yourself. Right? What skills have you learned? How have you applied them? And how are you marketing yourself? And that starts even early on in the college. Like, you're marketing yourself to a college, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
And throughout your college career, you're marketing yourself to, I don't know, be a TA. You're marketing yourself to like be in a club.
An internship.
Exactly. So it's we having somebody like you to better guide and prepare students to navigate all of these things is so needed. And it's something that we all, think back to your own college career, anybody listening. It's things that we didn't have, right? Unless we had the wherewithal to like, find a mentor or like we didn't have any of that. I didn't have any of that, right? I was a first generation college student in my family as well. And that and I know, Lisa, you were the same. There's a lot of that, right? And that's what we talk about with access, right? These are things that we're not taught. I will certainly be, now having met you and understanding and be doing programs like this, my son will certainly be better prepared, but there's always, somebody that could use this information and use that one-on-one support. And we're really happy to be providing that here at the space. So like I said, we'll have the students that are enrolled will be, they'll get 30 minutes access to Lisa included in their membership on a monthly basis. They can self-book that. So it's super easy around their schedule. And they'll have, a community and a space, a safe, distance, sanitized space to come. So they feel comfortable. Parents feel comfortable, right? It's something that parent and student can really invest in the absence of that typical college experience, right? You're not paying for the dorms if they're home, all that type of stuff. Like, invest in this time to really take advantage and, create your own silver lining if we could find any, right, in this era, so that when they do go back to a more typical campus life, if, depending on where they are in their college journey, they'll be even better prepared, right? So I'm so excited to do this with you, Lisa. And so what we're going to do, we're going to offer for any of you that are listening, and anybody that sees this video up until the 10th of January, 2021, we have a very special offer for you as part of this launch. So the monthly membership for our Student Success Program is only $99 a month. That is like half off of our typical unlimited hot desk pass for those that are not students. Obviously, a student registration is required. A student card is required to register. But for this, campaign launch only, like I said, until the 10th of January, we're going to be giving students access for a full semester. That's 4 months. So if you sign up in the next few days, you'll get 4 months, your entire semester, for just $300. So you're getting a month free out of that. So if you have any interest in joining us, again, parent, student, feel free to visit westhartfordcoworking.com. For those that are interested in taking advantage of this special offer, you can email us directly at hello@wehowworks.com. I'm going to pop it right down here in the comments. and everybody can take a look at that. Just email us, let us know that you are interested, and we'll get you all set up. We've got plenty of space. Again, it's a safe place for your students to come and really just, make the most of this situation and of what is left, right, of their college career, right, wherever they are in their college process. We are here to help, and we're here to be a support system for them, and really embrace them as part of our community. We're really excited to have them. Lisa, thank you so much for joining me today on Facebook Live. And we will all be seeing you again very soon at West Hartford Coworking.
Yeah.
Bye, everyone.